Oh my goodness, just stop lagging. Anyway. Welcome to the video, and now I'm playing as black and I'm playing the Caro. So it's quite frustrating because this is the third time I've had to record this video, but we're just trying to get better. So I'm showing you in the game review here, as it allows you to show what it is that I'm doing and what I'm thinking. So my opponent plays this Fianchetto setup, which I struggle with because I never know what to play. So he pushed here, attacking my bishop. I guess in hindsight I should have let him take or see if he wanted to take, but the knight where it is right now against the Caro-Kann is very strong. So I'm just thinking of ways to displace it, and hence why I do this to add protection to that pawn, because my next move, given my way, would have been to take that knight on e5. So he took, I wanted me to take the other way, but I didn't feel like, I didn't want to, or I didn't feel comfortable actually opening up my king. But even though I'm planning on castling, and generally it would have allowed me to have an island or an isolated pawn in the middle. So I push, ready to castle, and then he attacks this way. So I did think of moving my bishop to h7, but I didn't feel like the right square. And he should have moved his queen. I don't know why. He could have pinned that knight and made it difficult for me to recapture. But anyway, he took, and he takes back this way. This was a pivotal moment, which I didn't use quite well, because my time control wasn't very good in this game as well, because I had to think a lot more given how uncomfortable I am with the Fianchetto setup. So it's a blunder, and it is a blunder because I should have taken and then castle, then possibly challenge for the file. But I was happy to trade rooks here. Bishops, not rooks, the bishops. So that was my thinking. So he took the check. I asked if you want to trade queens, my only move with my queen, and that's it, off the board. He took back, and white had one move. I did think of that check actually. That check would have been brutal. Anyway, we move forward. I'm challenging for the file, and we exchange a pair of rooks. Right now I'm a pawn down, and I am freaking out. So I decided to connect my pawns. So at least I've got 3 connected pass pawns. So I got one pass pawn, but I got 3 connected pawns, which is always important, especially when you're entering an endgame with the king and rook with the bishop. So I move my pawn here. It's saying it's not the best move, but I was thinking in my mind, look, I protect that square, but I guess he could have had instances where he tried to maneuver to create a pass pawn there. So he protects. I try to play a waiting move, so I'm deciding, okay, let me activate my king a bit more, since my bishop guards my pawns pretty well. So he does this move, which I completely ignored, because in my mind I'm thinking he's going to push h4. Instead, in me playing my waiting move, expecting h4, he does this, and as you can see from the bar there, I'm losing terribly. So I decide to, count my losses, lose my pawns, and think of a exchanger. So I'm protecting the pawn at the end because that's my only shot at promoting. So we exchange, and he allowed me to protect here. I say protect because our pawns are at exactly the same stage, so whoever gets to move their pawn forward first can promote. So he does that, and I'm thinking with a bit of calculation, we both will promote here. So I promote, he promoted, and most importantly, he doesn't promote with check. That's always very important for you to check, because if my king had been, let's say, on b1, or even b3 actually, And if I had to move my king one step, he could always sacrifice because he's got 2 pawns and my king's not fast enough. So I also promote, and in this case I'm avoiding any tactics in which he can check me with my queen on the same line. So you can see I'm making sure there's no tactic, but then again in this instance I don't have time. So I'm also worried, thinking, okay, is he just gonna check me to a draw? Is he gonna try run me down time and hopefully I make a blunder? But I held my own and it was my turn with the checks. So, but my checks were not pretty accurate because they are allowing him to advance, and him advancing is him close to another promotion. And with the queen on board, somehow I needed him to lose his queen and a pawn at the same time. So, and I could not see any way of getting that because the queen covers so many squares, and also I'm trying not to put my queen on the worst square because if he checks and takes my queen, I'm done for. So continue with the checks. He offered to trade. I said no because that's just trading queens, and then he's got 2 pawns and a king. I did not win that. So we continue this way and I push. He checked. Muses was the only good move. So kudos to my opponent, making it very difficult for me. So I did that. He checked me here. I moved back, and then he does this check. As you can see, it's a blunder. So it changes the dynamic of the game. Not that I'm winning, but it moves it from me being down 4 pieces of material, according to the evaluation bar, to equality. And equality is what I want. So at this instance, I offered my opponent a draw, and he refused, said no. So, and I guess he's trying to fight for a win, but in this instance I have him quite covered, I felt. That's why I offered the draw. But he wanted to play it out, and we've played 60 plus moves. I'm already tired of playing long games. If you watched the last video where I played 104 moves, yeah, anyway, but this wasn't going to go that long. So as you can see, I'm just making sure his king can't step out to allow the pawn to promote. Hence why this is a great move. So it forces the king to go into the center, his only move, not in the center, into the corner I mean, and bang. So he pushes forward, and I have one move and one move alone, and I stalemate with this move, with a great move. So yeah, it was beautiful because he's not in check, but he's got no moves, and hence it ended the game. So it was a beautiful game. I truly enjoyed it. I just wish my opponent had accepted the draw and would have gone away from this, but at least I got to finish the end game and got to see what that's like. So now let's move on to the next game that leads me to being at my highest rating. Okay, so I'm playing game 2 and I'm playing as white and I'm playing the Jobava. And actually, what's funny, in the previous game the guy I played was called Tomato Head. Anyway, so moving on to game 2, I'm playing the Jobava, and again I'm somehow playing against this Fianchetto setup. Anyway, so he's playing a King's Indian, I think. Yes, I think this is one of the openings I did think of adopting before I found the Caro, so I stayed with the Caro-Kann. But I should read more into it. As you can see, I'm not very good at knowing what I'm supposed to do. That did happen. So I thrust my pawn forward here because I did think of pinning that knight, but it just felt like the bishop would be doing nothing there in that square. So I pushed my pawn forward because I'm thinking of ways to attack that Fianchetto bishop. How am I going to get through to the king? Because that's the only way you win. Checkmate. So I took the knight because I didn't like the play with the queen and the knight on my pawn. So push my other knight, and I'm thinking maybe I castle and find ways of using that open or semi-open diagonal, bring my rook forward, maybe to h3, and then bring it to g3 and something like that. So I opted to defend this way. Didn't want the queen coming in, and he pushed. I ignored. I castled. Said take. Let's see. I've got enough protection for that pawn. He came here with his knight, and I took away the only square. I didn't want to threaten the queen, not that because I didn't want to, but it felt like a one mover. It didn't do anything else besides that. The queen would just move back to the starting square, and then what? So anyway, perhaps I should have thought of it, but anyway, we take. He moves his knight back. I continue pushing my pawn because that's, to me, the only way I can cause some discomfort. He does this move, and I opt for, you threaten me, I threaten back. So I'm attacking your queen. What are you going to do? So he does this, and then I opt to attack the rook. He took. I could have just taken the rook, but because it was a blunder, he went for a pawn. Yeah, I could have been up in exchange and then some. Anyway, so I took this way. He took, and I push. The reason why I push, think about it. His bishop cannot go back to the fianchetto. It can't go in front of the king. And the purpose of you doing that is to put the bishop, I said the rook, the bishop in front of the king to protect the king. You're not supposed to move it, and you're not supposed to lose it. So here my opponent just gave it up, and I'm thinking, thank you. Step one to checkmate. So he threatened me. I went with a check, and he took. I took. So now I'm up in exchange. I'm down a piece. Am I? No, we have 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. Okay, yeah, no, we got equal material, but I'm up in exchange. Yes, he's got the bishop pair. I've just got one bishop and 2 rooks. So he does this, and so I have this thing with chess.com, which I'm playing on the computer, where I think of something and I kind of hover to do it, but I'm still finalizing my thought process. And when I let go of the piece, it's supposed to go back before I move it. And in this case, I didn't do that. I made a mistake where I moved my bishop back to b4. I didn't want to move it to b4. I should have moved my bishop to the best move it's pointing to, f6. That's what I was thinking of doing. But I didn't, because mouse slip, I guess, because that allows his queen to come back and defend the position. But my opponent missed it. He was thinking of blocking my bishop from coming in or not on that diagonal, but he ignored the only threat that was there, which was checkmate. As you can see, it's pointing out for him to move the bishop backwards, because I can't take because of the queen defending. So anyway, this is what happened, and the game ended. So as the position says, always feels nice to win, and yes, it always feels good to win, and especially now with how I've been playing. I'm at my highest peak, so continue playing with me, and let's see how we do in this chess game of ours.